Hi there, my name is Joanna Whitney. I'm an intuitive artist and a student of natural law. And I'm going to talk about how we treat each other. This is a very challenging topic. Under natural law, there is no authority except for nature, the law, natural law, the creator. All people are equal under natural law. And so how we treat each other is a topic that I feel is very pertinent to now, especially in the freedom movement where we want something different. We want to create something different because we don't like the tyranny that we are currently living under. But that means that we ourselves have to learn how to communicate and make decisions without a tyranny somehow by unilateral communication. And we just don't have the patience for it, I would just say, in my observation. But there really is no choice. We're either going to have a tyranny, which may start out as a benevolent dictatorship, or we're going to use some form of unilateral communication in which everyone has a voice and everyone is given and encouraged to participate. I've seen this time and time again in many groups where the group just gives up and gives over to the loudest or the best talker. And eventually the group dissolves because under natural law, that's a violation because then the group has made that person the authority. So I'm going to be dissecting a form of communication called consensus, which was created in the 70s by C.T. Butler. And it is difficult for us who are, we've been conditioned to snap our fingers and get the answer. But it requires patience, which is a virtue, which means that it is a part of natural law. It's a spiritual concept, patience. Tolerance, which is also a spiritual concept. Kindness, which is also a spiritual concept. But if we are really serious about being free, we have to learn how to respect each other and to find the consensus if we are in a group and have to make a decision or any amount of decisions. And once you do this 10 times, it becomes much easier. And there's only certain issues that come up that are very difficult to resolve and take days and days. But it will take days and days in the beginning. But the question is, are you serious about freedom or not? Really, there is no other way. And in, recent years, people have created other methods to consensus to try and make it more palatable. But it really all does boil down to the same thing, which is basically that the group decides on a set of principles and ways of conducting themselves. And then there's a leader, a person who leads the group who's not participating in the discussion, who keeps the group adhering to the principles even when it gets heated, and encouraging the quiet people to speak up and encouraging the loud people to respect the quiet people. And consensus is born eventually. And that isn't compromise. There's a difference between consensus and compromise. Although compromise might have to be employed by certain people. Each person has to do their own spiritual work in consensus, where they have to see whether they're just trying to win the argument or whether they are really looking for a solution for the group. But in the same breath, if one person knows that the whole group is going down a bad path, that person does have to stand up to the group and not back down. So it is a spiritual process. And most people just don't want to have to, what they call, waste time doing that. But if we look at where we're at today, we have come to this point by not practicing unilateral communication. Let's look at what it boils down to. Okay, that each individual person has an equal contribution to be made to the group and to the solutions of the group. Each individual person has their own way of communicating, and it's up to the group to support that person and to learn to understand how that person is communicating. And even more important, really, is that there is a higher force that will come in and interject an amazing solution to the problem if the group and the individuals in the group are patient enough to wait it out and support it in coming forth. Because again, each individual person is under natural law equal, and you really have to think about that, really. That would mean, obviously, that democracy is a total farce. Because under natural law, you can't delegate responsibility to another person or delegate yourself. You can't be represented by another person. Each person presents themselves. So the idea that there is a representative that represents a group of people is a violation of natural law. It's very enlightening. But if you look back at the Iroquois Confederacy and the Longhouse, I think these people, although they did fight amongst themselves, and had they been more unified, they probably could have conquered the English and the Spanish when they came to what became the United States, when they came to the continent of America. They did, however, do a pretty good job, where what they would do is they would have the chiefs who were members of the tribe, so therefore not representing the tribe, but members of the tribe. The chiefs would go together to the Longhouse and make decisions for the region of tribes. And it would take a long time. It would take days and days to come to decisions with each other. But they did it. Now, obviously, they weren't unified completely, because when the English came to this continent, they were able to conquer the tribes. But we can look back at that and try to learn from it. We can say, wow, we have to, if we're going to be free and not slaves of a tyranny, the New World Order, the World Economic Forum, we have to learn how to do this. And we can utilize the law of correspondence, as above, so below. So if a small group of us are willing to try this out and utilize unilateral communication using a vehicle such as consensus, we could learn a lot. And I'm going to go through the book Consensus on Consensus, on Conflict and Consensus by C.T. Butler, which I just looked up online and it's nowhere. It's not on Amazon. There's some expensive copies on Amazon, like 2, and there's none on eBay or anywhere else. It is on Goodreads. I have a PDF document of it, which I will post here. I think maybe I've already posted it, but I just had it printed and in a spiral bound book. So I'm going to be going through it because it is fail safe. And the thing about consensus, I will just also mention, is that if you follow it, it will weed out the infiltrators and the narcissists, which is a huge problem for groups. So the globalists obviously are seeding our freedom communities with moles. That's on the one hand. And on the other hand, we just have some plain old crazy people who are narcissists who just want attention and they don't care about the group. They may claim that they care, but they don't. And if you observe them, you will see that they don't. And basically what happens when a narcissist gets involved at the ground level of a group, they destroy it. Most people just leave because they don't know how to deal with the narcissist. And other people who haven't resolved their shadow issues will allow the narcissist to become a benevolent dictator, and the enterprise will work for a period of time, and then eventually it will collapse in upon itself because it's violating natural law. Which just brings me to like a regular business meeting, let's say, where you're the boss and you have people that work for you. Does everyone on staff feel safe to be able to express themselves? Or are you a semi tyrant? Do people walk on eggshells around you and not know how to communicate with you? This is happening at a work thing that I do. Everybody walks on eggshells around the main guy. And the other day, someone stood up to him, which was amazing. And it's all on Zoom. Someone stood up to him the other day, and it gave all of us an opportunity to be able to voice how we are each different. If you don't do this, what happens is we just play the blame game, and there's nothing different about what we're doing than what we're fighting against. If we don't practice these principles ourselves, we're just mini versions of the New World Order. And so we'll just fight, make some money in the fake system, and we'll be taken over by the fake system because we haven't changed it at all.